Today's Mob Rules is brought to you by a random FAQ.
A random correction, I would say, not a random FAQ.
Yeah, a correction of the FAQ. I should say.
Which was pretty good. I mean, like I saw some people complaining. They were like, "Come on, GW, correcting your own FAQ," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's way better than like 10 years ago when you were like, oh man, that was a rules fuck up."
I guess we'll have to wait until maybe next year to get that fixed.
Hello, Orc Codex, good for 2 editions. My name is John. I'm joined by
Danny.
And sadly not by Dave today. So we decided we're going to talk about the new Dark Imperium, well, newish, but Dark Imperium book, Plague War. I think Dave wanted to get far too into character for it, so he actually went and got fantastically ill.
Sure.
So yeah, no Dave today, but that's okay. Danny and I are going to lock this down and kind of keep it going. Hopefully we'll have less arguments about how a book goes.
And the podcast will be 33% younger.
Gotta fit in that old joke.
Yeah, sure.
If you want to send your get well wishes to Dave, please use the hashtag Dave's pussy.
And and Dave sucks works too. If you want to just keep it up, yeah,
keep it up. Dave sucks sickness. But hey, Danny, what have you been up to?
Oh, okay, yeah. So
we'll start with you.
Yeah, it's been an exciting 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Since we last recorded, we had our states almost a grand tournament.
Wait, is it the?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
We were close, but we didn't quite make it, which is, I think it was a combination of things why we didn't reach GT status. We only got 21 people to sign up and play the first day.
Right.
So I'm not sure what, maybe there's an oversaturation of potential GT level events in the community right now. I don't know.
I don't know, because it's like we have Midnight Sun coming up. This is kind of the only new GT here, and it's seeing about the same level of sign up as the last tournament did. The attendance was down about 50% from last year, which is the crazy part. I know a lot of people were saying they couldn't make that weekend for various reasons. We have a big military community up here, and it was like a drill weekend too.
Yep,
so
that's true.
A lot of things went into it. It was in a weird spot. It was originally slated for the week before, but then Magic the Gathering had some kind of big pre-release and
Mother's Day.
And Mother's Day. And you might be able to fuck with Mother's Day, but you cannot mess with Magic the Gathering pre-release if we want to.
Absolutely not, John.
If we want to have a store that still exists.
All true facts.
So it was a little unfortunate, but it seems like you had a blast anyway. I mean, I pointed out you had your list up on Best Coast Pairings, like a good person. So
unlike some of you other scumbags.
Nate.
So I brought Necrons. If you want to see my list, feel free to check it out on BCP. It should be still up there. So I took Necrons. I played 5 wonderful games. Excuse me.
No, you're good. See, the new board automatically cut that out.
Yeah, well, that's great. Ooh. It was a vomity sound. All right, so I wasn't trying to hold back some bile or anything like that about the tournament, because I had an awesome time. It was a great tournament, and I highly recommend anybody in Alaska come play in it. So my first game I played against Randall and his Eldar Flyers.
Oh yeah, that looked fun.
So I did a little bit of pregame. I didn't know who I was playing, obviously, but I put up a reminder on our local Facebook page to submit your list, and Randall said, "Oh yeah, I already put mine up," and I said, "Oh, I didn't know that was your list. I thought that was a joke list." So of course I ended up drawing him first round right after that, which is fine. So he had 3 Crimson Hunter Exarchs, 2 Hemlocks, and a Phoenix Bomber, which was an interesting choice.
Nice.
2 Night Spinners, some Shining Spears, 3 units of Rangers, Autark, and a Farseer on foot.
You know, I'm a really big fan of Night Spinners.
They're really cool.
I don't think they get enough love.
You know, and they're really cheap too, which is nice.
They're like, you know, they don't need line of sight. You can hide them. Yeah, they're a great distraction.
They have 2 flat damage on their attacks, which is nice too.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're cool, and it's a good complement to the Eldar Air Force actually, because they're fast, so they can flee.
Yeah,
if they need to. And yeah, so I ended up playing Randall first round. I got the first turn, and he put his Shining Spears on the line, which I thought was an interesting choice.
Okay. So his expansive, fragile unit that hits hard, if it charges, he put in front of your Necron gun line.
Yep.
Okay.
So we killed them on the first turn. I killed them. I flew my scythes up. They killed some stuff. I did their stratagem, and it worked out fairly well. I got as big a unit of Rangers that was hiding.
So what is that stratagem you were using?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So for someone like me, obviously I know what it is, but for someone listening,
if you have 3 Doom Scythes in your army, it's kind of like the Vindicator Linebreaker Squadron. So you pick Linebreaker Bombardment is what it's called now. You pick a point within 24 inches of all of them, and every unit within 3 takes 3d3 mortal wounds on a 4-up, and you get -1 if they're a character and +1 if they have 5 or more models for that particular one.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I got his Autarch, the Night Spinner, and his unit of Rangers within 3. And then, so I didn't hit the Autarch, unfortunately, which made me sad. I tried even on the reroll because I was like, yeah, might as well. If I can nuke this guy, that'd be great. One step closer. But I hit I hit the Night Sprinter for 8 mortal wounds.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, I hit a plane too. I did 8 wounds to the plane and 5 wounds to the Night Spinner and wiped out the Ranger squad. Oh, no, I got them down to 2 models, and then I used Imhotep to lightning them off the table.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Because that doesn't require line of sight or anything. It just does D6 mortal wounds on a 2+.
Seems fair.
Yeah, no, it was great. Yeah. So I killed them, killed the Shining Spears, and then basically the game was over pretty quick. He killed a bunch of stuff because planes are pretty killy.
Yeah.
But I also managed to get sudden death on him on turn 3. So that means I wiped out all of the units that he had on all the non-flyer battlefield role units on the table.
Which is kind of like your ultimate goal when you see that list, right? Is just like straight away.
Yeah, it depends. Some lists are good at killing the flyers, but mine is not great. So, so I figured that was going to be my best option, especially after I had a really good first turn of like really piling on the damage.
Yeah, so it certainly sounds like it would be a frustrating first round for Mr. Randall.
Let's see. So we posted scores after that. There was some contention about it because everybody thinks that rule is called boots on the ground,
right?
But it's not. It's called sudden death. And so like he looked at his rule book after the match was over, and we tallied up scores, and he's like, "Well, that doesn't exist anymore." And I said, "Well, yes, it does. Here's where it is," and showed the judges, and they were like, "Oh yeah, okay, result stands."
Yeah.
So next round, I end up.
Do you think at that point he did like the Joe Bluth? I made a huge mistake.
Oh, that is exactly, yeah. he made some mistakes too when he was playing as well. Like he forgot to move one of his flyers and then cast a bunch of psychic powers and then realized that he didn't move it, and he was like, "Oh, well, my bad, it's dead." I said, yeah, if you hadn't already casted a power, like it would have been fine. I would have let you move it or whatever. But yeah. Anyway, game 2, I saw who was potentially, because there was some tied scores. So I'm like, all right, well, either I'm going to get this guy or this guy, and I definitely got the draw that I wanted to. I played against Linton. He had Space Wolves and a Dark Angels detachment. So we had 18
old best friends.
Yeah, right. Yeah, perfect allies. So he had 18 Wolfen and 2 squads with Thunderhammer Storm Shields.
Okay.
A unit of 9 Wolfguard Bikers, 5 with Combi Meltas, and 4 with Storm Bolters and
Pretty
Storm
good.
Shields.
That's a shitload of bolter shots.
It's 72 bolter shots.
Yeah.
Plus 5 melta guns if he wants to.
Ooh.
And then he had some supporting characters and 3 units of 5 scouts.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's a foot slogging army against me, and I can and yeah, it has a bunch of 3-up saves, but I don't really care because my damage comes from volume of output, not from quality of shots. And so, like first turn, flew up the Doomsdice, did the strat, killed a Wolf Priest with jump pack, did 6 mortal wounds to Wolfen, 1 unit of Wolfen, and then 5 to the unit of Bikers. And so that was brutal. No, I did none to the Bikers because I missed that one. Even on the reroll, that was sad. But yeah, basically I had some really good rounds of shooting and he just couldn't take it. And excuse me, since he set everything on the board, I was able to shoot him. I let him go first even, because I wanted him to get into range. But yeah, that was a pretty crushing defeat.
When I see stuff like that, it makes me think that Index should be not allowed for match play anymore. As much fun as kind of Wolfguard Bikers with Stormbolters and like 72 shots, kind of things like that. I don't see a place for Indexes anymore.
I get you. I see. I definitely see where you're coming from. Right. Like I agree. Just for like simplicity of match play, you know. And an interesting fact, the ETC doesn't allow index entries. They only allow codex entries.
Right.
And no Forge World.
Right.
Which might not be a bad way to play, to be honest. Like that's not the worst thing in the world.
Right. I mean, I could live with Forge World. I think up here our meta is kind of, it's been like that for so long that, we're all kind of used to it. But at the same time, I think at this point indexes are being used to kind of game around a little bit rather than.
I would say that there are just as many stupid rules in the index as there is in Forge World, and like the Forge World rules writing is kind of wonky sometimes.
Yeah.
And so like, and the units there are just, some of them are very underpointed for what they do. Not that I like, and I love the Forge World models and the units are really cool. I just want them to be balanced with the rest of the game a little bit better.
Which, hopefully chapter approved 2030.
Yeah. 2030, they'll really dial it in there. So game 3, I play against our friend Tim Hoopster.
Oh, you play against Timmy?
Yeah, that was my third game. So because we're at the top of the bracket right now, right? So we're in first place playing.
Tim with his original list. So Tim Hoopster original.
Yeah, right. Tim. So Tim ran exact copy of Don Huson's BAO list that he just brought. So 3 Helldrakes, 3 Lord Discordants, 3 Deredeo Dreadnoughts, 3 Hellforge Contemptors, all purge, so they can reroll misses if a thing has taken a wound. The list is really good. I think so. I've been doing a lot of soul searching in this game and trying to figure out what I could have done a little bit differently. There was just a couple of things that didn't like swing my way when I needed them to. Right. Twice I left Lord Discordance on 1 wound left after shooting. Like I just could not finish them off.
Right.
Because the 2+ armor save is killer for my army. And then, and also once with a Helldrake that was down to like 2 wounds. So I was like, I really needed that to go a little bit differently. But that's the way the dice go sometimes. That's okay. I think if I was this is funny. If I was a little bit more aggressive, I think that I would have won. Because the Lich Guard actually are pretty good against a Lord Discordant. I was doing the math the other day. Like they'll mess him up pretty good. Yeah, they'll take some wounds in return, but but man, they especially if you use the dispersion field stratagem to give him +1 strength, so then they're strength 7, so they wound them on 3s. That's pretty brutal. That's
not bad.
Yeah, so that would definitely help. So next time I'll do the right thing and I'll wipe those stupid purge off the table. But I lost that game. I think it was 20 or 31 to like 25, something like that. So it wasn't like a blowout or anything.
Right.
I got a lot of points out of the loss, so that's fine. So intermission, we go party with Fairbanks guys, Dave and Buster's, which was fun. It's good to see everybody that we don't always get to see, especially like my perennial nemesis, Eric.
Oh, you mean the true host of the podcast?
Oh yeah, that's right. He voted to kick John out.
Yeah, he voted to kick me out
and replace you with 2 people somehow.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Well, you know what that says to me?
That I'm just that necessary.
Yeah, dude, you're worth 2 regular people.
Yeah, just regular people though.
Yeah, but not good people.
Special, not good people. Redistributed my podcast.
So game 4, play against Matt Morse, friend of the podcast, great guy, amazing painter,
Cosmonaut on Reddit, and you can see all of his amazing runic work on his Grey Knights and his Knights.
Yeah, so I found out, I didn't know this before, he hand paints all of that stuff.
Yeah,
There's no
you didn't know that?
No, I was like, what?
I asked him how he did the glow, because like one year I got him for like Secret Santa, right? And like that was the year I did like the shirtless Thunderhammer Grey Knight, where like I did like a bunch of gloss varnish on his chest to make it look oiled up and everything. I used like
sexy,
like a Kairos Acolyte torso on it. I think it turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, how do you do your rune work? Because I wanted to give him like a sick tribal tattoo on the arm.
Yeah.
It was like runic, and he told me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Awesome. So Matt brought a list that was actually really good against me. He brought a Knight Atropos and 2 Knight Crusaders, one with a battle cannon, one with a thermal cannon, and then a Skitarii battalion and a guard battalion.
Nice.
So good amount of CP. He sprung for the Eversor Assassin, which was a good choice. And he put a 2+ armor save on the Atropos with Landstrider, so I knew it was like going to go be in my lines on first turn.
Yeah.
Landstrider, for those who don't know, is +2 inches to assault and advanced rolls.
Mm-hmm.
And Knights have a stratagem called Full Tilt, so they can advance and still charge.
Thank you for explaining that for people who don't know.
Yeah.
Not me, but
well,
people.
And also the Atropos advances 2d6 instead of 1d6. So it's 14 inches plus 2d6 plus 2, and then assaulting 2d6 plus 2.
Oh, so yeah, he's in another table turn 1.
So what I did is I just like lined the Lich Guard up in a way that he couldn't get past them to the rest of my army.
Because he didn't have a jump back to get
right,
over them.
Exactly. And so I hid behind them for like 2 turns because it took me 3 freaking turns to kill the Atropos, like with my destroyers. Like it just would not die. He kept making all of these 4-up saves on it. I was trying not to get too frustrated about it because but it was getting very frustrating towards the 3rd round. And like then he eventually died. Okay, that's fine. And then I think I managed to kill one of the other Knights, but I couldn't touch one of them because it was just too tough.
Right.
Which is fine. And I ended up winning that game on objectives because it was the 3 objective mission, and I managed to actually take his objective.
I mean, it's kind of what you have to do in that situation, right? Because you're not taking the Knights down. Like when you're relying on weighted shots, and especially in a game where you're just up against like Lord Discordance and everything, and you're like 2-ups everywhere, then you kind of have to just play to the mission.
Yeah, exactly. And like I can deal with a 3-up armor save Knight, no problem.
Sure.
Like because just weight of strength 5 shots, wounded on 5s is fine. Like as long as I get to make them take like 10 armor saves every single time I shoot at them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I won that game by a pretty significant margin. First couple turns were pretty rough though. Crusaders put out so much. Crusaders are so good. I can't emphasize that enough. And then I played against our 5th game. So right now I'm 3-1, so I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Sure.
So I end up playing against our teammate, and we're playing on table 2, so right below the top table.
Right.
And so I'm like, all right, well, if I can go 4-1, that would be great. And I was there was a couple of different people that it might have been again.
Mm-hmm.
And I got paired against the person I didn't want to fight, which was our teammate Taylor, who's got a really nasty AdMech list. So he's got like
finely tuned AdMech list.
Yeah, it's really good. So it's got like 18 servitors. Sorry, not servitors, but Cataphren breachers. A Crusader, of course, with the 2-up armor save, my freaking bane. And then he had 3 Onagers and a bunch of Skitarii. Oh, and he had a unit of 20 of the Secutarii. What are they called? The hoplites, the guys with the spears and shields.
Yeah.
Those guys are really good. So I got first turn, which I was super jazzed about because this game was like, I had to go all out right at the beginning to try and like just cripple him as much as I possibly could. So I got off another rad application of that Doomsday stratagem, where I killed his warlord, and I killed a unit. I got a lot of wounds on a unit of servitors, and then a lot of wounds on another unit of servitors, and then between my other shooting, I finished off a unit of servitor of the Cataphrons, and then I also killed all of the Secutari as a screen out front. So I killed all of them. So that was huge because I killed like 500 points of his army or more right off the bat. But unfortunately, I forgot about the new aircraft screening rule, and so I had meant to put my one of my jets in a way that his knight couldn't get past it, so it would buy myself a little bit of time as far as pressure goes, but that didn't work out for me. So his knight was able to get past the jet because of my inexperience with planes, which is unfortunate. Like I could have played that a little bit cleaner, a little bit better, and that's on me.
Live and learn.
That's right. But the story of this game basically is I couldn't deal with a knight. He did a bunch of damage to my destroyers, and he killed 4 out of the 6 on his turn. And then I failed all of my reanimation protocols, even with a reroll.
Yeah,
which is too bad. And basically, I tried to move them to hide them, but I couldn't move them far enough, and the knight was able to kill the rest of them on his turn, which is tough. But that's the way it goes sometimes. And once the destroyers are gone, then I have absolutely no way to deal with the knight.
Right.
The knight's too tough for the 2-up armor save, and I've only got the Doomsice with their guns, which are not really reliable. And then I have like Lich Guard and my characters in combat, and that's not going to do it either. So I did manage to get him down to 6 wounds by the end of the game, just because I had to focus some firepower on him to make him use the act as if on full. But yeah, I did some janky tricks, did some cool assault stuff, kept stuff in combat, locked it up so he couldn't shoot me, and then fell back and shot it because I fly on the bikes and stuff like that. So that ended up being a super close game. It was 25 to 28.
That is really close.
So a super close game at the end. It's like I dominated the first 2 turns, and then he dominated the last 2 turns.
Because he had a little bit more resilience to that kind of stuff there.
I couldn't keep up with him. So, but yeah, great game, great opponent. I can't say enough good things about Taylor. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was my states experience. I went 3 and 2. I think I got 5th place, which is good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I made the board this year finally.
There you go.
Which is weird. I don't know. I win so many tournaments. It's like it was surprising to me.
It's your Achilles heel.
Yeah, states. Something happens with that. Anyway, so
anything longer than 3 rounds, it tests the stamina.
So yep. So that was my experience. Had a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a good time. Other than that, I've been working on, I built some Night Lord Terminators that turned out really nice.
Yeah, I saw those Shapeways parts.
Oh man, they look so cool.
Yeah, they're amazing with the spears and like the little wristy things. I went like, oh,
and they smell like coconut.
Oh yeah, and that's the important part.
Right. I'm thinking of putting a coconut on one of their bases, like a broken coconut.
Oh, do it.
It's memorialized that smell.
Because you're going to have to seal it up now, and it's not going to be fresh anymore.
Right, they won't be coconut fresh anymore.
Or just call one of them like Jimmy Buffet.
Oh.
Like Jimmy Buffett Terminator.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Love it. Oh, also, as far as painting goes, we had a listener ask me how the paint applies to some of the Shapeways parts.
Yeah.
Well, I'm painting up my Havocs right now. I'm almost done with them. But the paint applies just fine. They're not quite as smooth as like your GW plastic is, I think. But they're really close and they look great. So,
because I mean, I've got some Imperial Fists shoulder logos from Shapeways before.
Sure.
And for those, like I was able just to straight GW prime white over it, and then I just Sharpied on the black parts, and it sticks perfectly. Yeah, it works like a charm. I haven't had any issues with Shapeways stuff. I don't even wash it. That's the craziness. I know. Oh boy.
Well, what about you, John?
Well, I've been in kind of a holding pattern recently.
Oh, okay.
So the last couple of weeks of parental leave, I actually go back to work tomorrow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry,
I'm excited. Bro. After almost 2 months, I'm going to have to go back to work. But the past couple of weeks, I've been kind of like stay-at-home dadding, and a very grumpy small baby has not left me much time. But I organized my paint station, so that's all good and ready to go.
Awesome.
Right over there, Daniel.
Oh, wow. That is sexy, dude.
Yeah. So what I did is I picked up a couple of nail polish holders, acrylic ones from Amazon. And right behind them, I have all of my spray cans. And then inside, I have like a little place to hang my airbrush and kind of do other kind of stuff like that there.
Man, look at you.
And I'm just trying to get it kind of all set up and organized and ready to go so that, I'm if I can steal 5 minutes to go paint, I'm able to do it kind of quickly. On top of that, I'm going to embark on a new thing. I have a real issue with, I'll get excited about a list. I'll run it once. Mm-hmm. It won't do well.
Okay.
And then I'll just ditch it. And I'm like, great. So I made my 2,000 point list, and it's a list I'm going to run with no changes for 7 games. And then after 7 games, I will make changes and adjust and so, but not until I've kind of got those reps in. And that's what I've decided to do. So that's what I pulled out today. Again, we'll see how it does.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, man. That'll really help you be familiar with.
And even, it just kind of gets you familiar with different units and kind of stuff like that. What it is right now is just I have a Death Guard battalion with a Typhus and a Winged Demon Prince. 3 units of Poxwalkers, 16, 16, 15. A Noxious Blightbringer. Nice. 2 Plague Burst Crawlers. A Hellforged Contemptor Dreadnought with double butcher cannons.
Awesome.
I have a Sicaran. What's it called again? It's the
Venator.
The Venator, yeah, Sicaran Venator, and then Mortarion, and then also a Stargate.
Nice.
So my current thinking with this list. Oh, and the Death Shroud is what Death Shroud and Typhus.
Oh yeah.
So my current thinking with this, a lot of people like if you take Death Shroud, you just kind of hang around Mortarion. And then turn 1, 2 die, or all 3 die, and then Mortarion kind of goes on his happy way, or none die, and then they just kind of hang at the back of the table for the rest of the game because they're in Cataphracta armor. They don't really move. So
they're not fast.
No, the idea is kind of hide everything around the Stargate, the Nautilith Crown. So I'm thinking of putting Mortarion kind of behind it.
Okay.
Blocked in a way you used to use flyers to block people in. So that way you can't really get a turn 1 charge off on him. He's kind of safe back there. It's big enough that he's mostly covered by it. Mm-hmm. And then everything else is going to get a 5-up invulnerable save for being that. So, it obviously doesn't matter for my demon stuff, but the Sicaran, the Poxwalkers now are a little tougher because they have that 5-up invulnerable too.
Right.
And then in Deep Strike Reserve is Typhus and the Death Shroud.
Okay.
So my goal is, and this is why I brought the Blightbringer, is people are going to focus fire on the Sicaran and Morty turn 1 to try and get those off the table.
Sure.
And then I'm going to run my Poxwalkers up as fast as I can to get them in combat as fast as I can so they can start kind of making love and multiplying and growing bigger and bigger and bigger.
Sure.
And then,
or at least up to their starting size.
Or at least up to I can go over if it's not the stratagem, right? It's just in the fight phase. Or is it starting size?
Well, match play says you can't go above starting size.
Man, okay. Well, even though they'll stay at 50.
Okay.
That sucks, but still good. And then Death Shroud coming down. Like reading the Death Shroud rules, I think they're wasted just as kind of bodyguards for Mortarion. I mean, they give characters around them an extra attack.
Right.
Their scythes are really good.
Yeah, they're pretty solid.
They have a bunch of attacks each.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling kind of, hopefully, like people are going to assume that I'll put them down with Morty. And then when I don't, that kind of lets me kind of drop them down. And I think them and Typhus is going to be a really nice combo to kind of ball into things.
Okay.
And if that doesn't work, then I'll try the other way. Yeah. But I will not change the list for 7 games until kind of like I really figure out what's going on.
Sure.
Because, even talking to you about your tournament experiences, right? You have like things about, well, he misplayed this or he misplayed that. So it's not necessarily indicative of the list. It's in that one day, in that one specific game, you made a couple of mistakes.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah, that's going to be the thing. Each iteration of my list is going to be done for 7. I was going to do 10, but, Nurgle, so 7.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense.
It makes sense.
I
So
like it.
Each iteration is going to be done for 7 games. Some of them are going to be super painful. Some of them aren't.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure game 8, I'm going to be dropping Mortarion for like 2 more Contemptor Dreadnoughts and an entire unit of something else, but
Sure.
that's okay. I just want to see him get some play. And 7 games is also enough time for me to get it all painted up.
I think, too, that he is underplayed. I think he's got a place now.
Yeah, especially kind of with knights being 100 points more.
Yeah.
I threat saturation. That's
Yep.
So I mean, talking about the pregame stuff that I usually do, like I'll be spending a lot of time explaining what this particular Hellforged Venator does. Of like it wounds 3 dice, 3d6 on your leadership. This is a butcher cannon. It takes 2 off your leadership. This is this. This removes this from your leadership. This is this. When really kind of the main goal is to get the Poxwalkers spreading across the entire table so that Mortarion can be within 7 inches of all of them.
Sure.
And start dealing out kind of that mortal wounds as much as possible.
Yeah, don't forget his auras and stuff. I think a lot of people that I played against have forgotten you roll a dice for every unit within whatever the radius is.
It's within like an inch or of 7 inches of a unit of him or something. But like something I've started doing a lot more, like choosing armies, is going into those unit entries and kind of looking at those rules and be like, wow, what makes this unit special? What makes this unit good? And that's kind of what pulled me to the Death Shroud here, is just because I'm like, wow, this is a solid unit by itself. And the Noxious Bringer, like rolling 2 dice for advancing and picking which one you want. That's amazing. That gets my Poxwalkers across the table so much quicker.
That's true, yeah.
So if that's all he does, great.
And he gets to ring his little bell.
Gets to ring his little bell. It's a negative to leadership, which combines with the Venator.
Yeah.
So that's all kinds of good stuff there. So like there's a little synergy there. Like it's still kind of, but it comes from a place where I really just want to play Mortarion. It's such an amazing model.
Yeah, he really is.
I got it secondhand, but I need to paint it up. I just need a reason to, and kind of playing him more is kind of what I'm hoping for that one there. Didn't play any games. We were planning to play some more of our Urban Conquest campaign. Dave read Plague War a little too hard and became insanely ill.
Yep.
Because of the small child at my house. Did not want to come over and infect him, which I guess, is a good guy, Dave.
Yeah, seriously,
which is good. But I did, I started painting up another 10 cultists for that. Yeah. I started painting up the sorcerer dude.
I'm just going to use the Master of Possession for my sorcerer because his model is so much cooler.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so good. They did a really good job with that one. I purchased some stuff. I got the next 2 Warhammer Adventures books that came out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Claw of the Gene Stealer, which I'm like, man, if this doesn't end within 3 pages, then,
3 kids versus a Gene Stealer. How does it turn out?
There's like a snuff fanfic out there, which is that. And then also the next, it was like Claws of the Skaven, or Attack Skaven is the Warhammer Adventures one. So I picked those up because my kid was like super hyped to hear. So I'm like, all right, I'll buy those. And like my wife's like, did he earn them? I'm like, I bought them.
They're books.
They're books. It's good. And then I picked up Solar War from Black Library.
Is that out?
That is out.
Like the real, like the normal copy?
The normal copy, though.
The plebe copy, if you will.
So me and my buddy Josh went in because he wanted to order the coaster set from Black Library, right? He plays Iron Warriors. I play Imperial Fist. So that's
is that what we're using right now?
That's what we're using right now. Is like because I got the Imperial Fist kind of loyalist half, and he got the shit half. Yeah. And it was like, and I picked up a copy of Solar Works. I'm like, well, if you're going to Black Library anyway,
sure.
Might as well. Turns out shipping from Black Library is still ridiculous.
Oh.
And half a coaster set and Solar War was $50.
Ooh, ouch.
But by that point, he was like, yeah, I ordered it for you. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's fine.
Fudge.
Fuck. But yeah, so I had that sitting waiting for me. And then I also picked up an Age of Sigmar audiobook because I'm like, you know what?
Oh, cool.
I have a crap load of Audible credits and I haven't delved in at all to Age of Sigmar. So
which one is it?
I picked up Soul Wars because I figured that was kind of a good jumping off point for the new one. And then
plus it features your army, right?
There you go. Yeah, my Night Hunt. And then also I picked up on the recommendation of because I put on Twitter, I was like, hey, what's a good starting off place? Play Garden, I believe, was the other super really popular one. So I picked that one up too.
Nice.
But yeah, that's about all I took care of. Yeah, that's it. So we're going to go ahead and take a break. We're going to be right back with something, I guess.
Dude, I'm the best. I took first place at another tournament.
First off, stop with the thunder and lightning. You don't impress me. And second, let me check out the BCP rankings. And I don't see you on there.
What?
Your TO needs to download the Best Coast Pairings app and run events on it. After the event, the results are uploaded into BCP rankings, and the best part, it's easy and free.
But I play multiple game systems.
No big deal. The BCP app can be used for any game. A ton of events every weekend are using it, from major international tournaments to local stores. And now that it's available on Android devices, you're going to have some serious competition.
There can be only one.
BCP Rankings is a fun and exciting way to measure how you or your team stack up. No matter what you play, your score goes to an overall ranking, or compete to be the best in a game, a circuit, a region, or the world.
Download the app or visit www.bestcoastpairings.com for more info.
Best Coast Pairings.
Are you the best?
And we're back. Whoa, I did remember that. Look at that.
Hey, look at you, dude. You're a tech wizard.
I know, and I was just making sure we're both unmuted, and we are, and that's just great. Sorry, I'm going to get away from the rules about the Knuckleth crown here because I misremembered them.
Yeah, John was just over here, just jizzing his pants over this thing.
And now I'm just slightly excited.
Now he's basking in the afterglow of his
rules mistakes.
I was going to say rules orgasm, but okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that too. So on our Patreon page, we got a message, or someone sent us a message asking for some advice on a list for his Necrons, especially because Danny just had a very successful weekend with Necrons.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good.
Turned out pretty good. The past 2 tournaments you've ran them, I think you're running on like what, a 6-2 record on it?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, that's really good. So we have, hi guys, I'm going to play a 40K 2-on-2 game this weekend. Just so you know, this is my annual game. Annual because that is the only game I get to play 1 game a year.
Oh, dude, I'm so sorry.
Oh man, that's rough. Okay, so it's the one time my friends force me to game. Don't get me wrong, I would love to play more often, but this is the one time I managed to get away from family and block out all the things I have to get done on the house, etc. I mean, I can feel that a lot there.
Yeah.
He was going to play Dark Angels, but hearing Danny rock Necrons, he decided to play Necrons. So he asked for a little help on his list. What he wanted to run is he had Imhotep, a Destroyer Lord, 3 squads of 10 warriors, a Destroyer squad, and a Satan, which is the Nightbringer.
Yep.
And he kind of just had some questions about that list and kind of what to do to get better. Now, this tournament was last weekend, so spoilers, it already happened. And
it's not a tournament, it's just a game.
Oh,
man.
a game even. I'm in tournament mode. I was like, this game already happened.
John's ready to crush some fools over here.
It was last weekend. Yeah, only fools, though, no competent people.
No, right. Yeah.
But kind of what sort of feedback did you give about his list there?
So first of all, I thought he was on the right track. I thought he did a really good job for the most part. I mean, you only have so many choices with Necrons, right? So
right.
You either have warriors or immortals. Those are your troops choices. So the 3 units of 10 warriors is fine. Like minimizing the amount of points that you have to spend on troops is great. In the respect of like for power. Although with Necrons, you typically want to have, I feel like bigger units are more advantageous in a lot of ways because it takes more firepower to get rid of them. Sometimes people can't get rid of them, and then they can all come back because you get to roll for them every single turn. So Imhotep is also a great character, like especially with his points decrease in chapter approved. I think they dropped him like 15 or 20 points. So that's nice. The Destroyer Lord is maybe not optimal, but he's fine.
He's a pretty cool little model, though.
His model is super rad, and he's decent in close combat, honestly. Then you have the Destroyer Squad, which is amazing. Destroyers are great. You should always take Destroyers. And then the Satan Nightbringer is actually like a pretty good choice in general. So he doesn't look like much, right? But he has Satan powers, which are like kind of like a smite, or he's got like anti-horde powers. They can do all kinds of different stuff. But he's also really good in close combat, and if you can screen him and get him in there, he is like a nasty character killer. And he's got fly too, so he can hop over screens and stuff.
So like maybe if you had 30 warriors to put in his way.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, jump on over.
Or use his teammate, because his teammate's going to play AdMech, I think.
Oh,
and so he can hide behind the AdMech guys and then charge in combat.
As is tradition.
Yeah. So he's asking like kind of like what kind of relics and stuff to take on like the Destroyer Lord and that kind of stuff. And, you know, it just depends on how you want to play him. Like the Void or the Relic War Scythe is really good because it's flat 3 damage and it wounds on a 2 unless it's a vehicle. So like all those tough characters and all that stuff, even like a Primarch, like it still wounds them on 2s and does 3 flat damage. It's pretty nasty.
Yeah, that sounds nasty.
Or if you want him to stick around, you just keep him with a normal War Scythe, and then you can give him the special Phylactery, and that gives him back an extra D3 wounds at the start of every turn.
Oh, phylactery.
Yeah.
Yeah, philustery. I thought you meant like a giant penis.
Oh, no.
Like a phallic.
Sorry. Yeah, no. Anyway, so yeah, using that, you can make your guy really tough, or you can give him you can also give him +1 to his toughness and wounds characteristic, so that'll make him toughness 7,
which is ridiculous for
pretty nasty.
Yeah. Well,
and he still has a Fort Binville too, so
like
it's
150 point HQ or something stupid like that.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
So or you can give him a 2-up armor save. That's also a good choice.
Yeah.
So yep. So some cool stuff there. So I can't wait to hear about how his list did. I want to feel how well he did. Like I want to know.
You didn't know?
No, I didn't see it. Did he post?
Man, yeah, he replied to that.
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, I missed that.
Let us know how it all went.
Oh man, this is a surprise.
Sorry, I went here. So, thanks for the advice for list. Really gave me some confidence before the game. Sorry it took so long to write back. Our country flipped out on Sunday, winning the World Hockey Tournament for the 3rd time. This time
that's awesome.
This time against Canada, which is where I would assume hockey was invented.
That sounds accurate.
Yeah, so he swapped Squad of Warriors for some Tesla Immortals.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they didn't really do much. His friend bailed on them during the shooting phase, and the whole squad got wiped. No reanimation. So that good old loyal AdMech was like, "Wait a second, you're not our friends," and wandered away. They went second. It was Necrons and AdMech versus Drakari and Black Legion.
Okay.
So obviously turn 1, their deployment zone was full of Drakari. The setup was pretty cramped, so we had spread out warriors and immortals, leaving the destroyer and the destroyer lord at the back behind terrain.
Good choice.
Other squad of warriors was with the Satan on the right hand side, and his teammate's Armiger pretty much tanked a whole bunch of shots.
Nice.
Let me see here. The Nightbringer managed to get some wounds with antimatter meteor.
Awesome.
Not so much with the Thunderbolt, and the Satan died before it could get into close combat. But the screen of warriors worked really well.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So once the destroyers got moved and they got to shoot, holy crap, they punch out some shots, was his exact phrase here.
Yeah, they sure do, don't they?
Heavy destroyer is not worth it, but it's the model he had.
Yeah.
Imhotep got left behind once the Immortal Squad was wiped, and the Destroyer Lord was equipped with the Staff of Light.
Okay.
And he was really happy with how they did, and he liked playing them.
Cool.
Deployment was key, and he should have Veil of Darkness done the Lord.
Oh, okay, sure.
But here, this is the important thing. Is kind of like looking back at the game, like from the email they sent, it was kind of more like, yeah, here, this is what it should do, and I think that's important when you're playing, right?
Yeah.
Learn from those kind of things. Yeah, destroyers are really brutal.
Yeah, destroyers are hella
when
good,
they're
man.
within range. Yeah, it turned out really well. It was a fun day. I really knew that. Listening to you guys and all your sister podcasts, I think that's a subtle dig at Dave, thinking that people want to be related to us in any way.
Oh, I thought it was maybe like the podcast that we always talk about doing, like our side podcasts about movies and various hyper-specific subjects.
Hyper-specific. Where we have our new podcast series detailing the changes to Sonic's face in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Man, I hate that podcast. Why did we put that out?
And also watching Phil scream woo with a stupid edited picture. That's always a good way to spend time playing 40K. But yeah, so that was it. If you have any questions that you want any of us to answer, please send them in. We love to answer them, and usually we get back to you pretty quick. Even if we save it for a little podcast, if you tell us, hey, I need it for like 3 days from now, we'll do our best to kind of get it taken care of there.
Yeah,
for you.
we'll try.
We'll try. I mean, no promises. At the very least, we'll get you drunk enough to where you won't really care that's happening.
Yay!
But hey, we're going to be right back. We're going to take one more quick break, and then we're going to talk about Plague War, which is a hugely important book.
Yeah.
Hugely important.
Do you like cookies but want something more British? Buy biscuits. Not like those you have for gravy. British biscuits. For dunking in your British tea. Stiff upper lip guaranteed. biscuits, as recommended by Queen Liz of the Britons.
All right, we're back.
And we're back.
So smooth now. I was like second time in. I just got it going. So Plague War is a book by Guy Haley. It's the second of a trilogy of books of the Dark Imperium series.
So we got one more left, which I'm excited to see the conclusion of this.
I'm very excited about it. What this book does is kind of what the middle act of any trilogy does, and it sets up a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And kind of that. So I've seen some people kind of say that it's like a little slow. Not a lot really happens, kind of it's the end. It's like, but that's kind of the purpose of this book. It can't really be viewed individually. I mean, even individually, it's good. I'm not going to lie there.
I think so.
I'm not going to kind of go blow by blow. We're not going to describe like what happened throughout the entire book. Because
we can hit the main points.
We're going to hit the main points because there's many, and there's a lot of stuff to do with how the current iteration of 40K is. And how life is for the Imperium in the 41st millennium.
Yep. Which was a cool look into that, like post Guilliman era, right?
For sure, yeah.
So it had some really, and like it had its moments of bolter porn and like which were great, like they were fine, and like it had some great characterizations of some characters that you may not get a look at. And more specifically, like a squad level view of a Primaris guy thinking about like his integration with the Ultramarines.
Yeah, so let's talk about Justinius. Justinius would be the main Primaris that we kind of follow through this book here.
Yep.
He was one of the unnumbered sons, massive legion of Primaris. They took like half of all Primaris and made this giant legion and went out and did the crusade with those guys. Yep. After that was done, Guilliman split them all up, and Justinius was like, "Sweet, I'm going to be an Ultramarine now."
Like he's from Ultramar.
He's from Ultramar before this process.
Right.
He loves Ultramarines. He's drank the Guilliman Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah, hard.
He is hard into that, and he is very excited. And then he's like, they put the sorting hat on him, or however the fuck they decided. And he comes out, and they're like, "You're going to be a Nova Marine," and it crushes him.
So when they said he was going to be a Nova Marine, I straight up fist pumped because I love the Nova Marines. Because I think their color scheme is really cool. But like, and I didn't know anything about them. So I was like, cool, I'm going to learn about this. But he's like, oh.
Like a moody teen, he's like, fuck the Nova Marines.
Man, like if you're not going to be in the Ultramarines, like they're the next best thing, man. Like, why are you so glum, chap?
They're pretty much like, like mini baby Ultramarines.
Well, and they're second founding.
Right.
So like, they are a storied chapter that has
pretty much on par with like Black Templars, Crimson Fists, things like that.
Yeah, they have the same amount of backstory.
Yeah, but yeah, he's not into it, and he's kind of down. But he's like, okay, I'm going to do my duty.
Right,
and he shows up, and they try to be very welcoming to him. I mean, obviously they don't trust Primaris completely yet, and you still kind of get that sense throughout the entire book that regular Marines do not. They're not 100% on board Primaris.
No, they're like, you may be a big ass fucker, but like,
yeah,
I'm still in charge of you. Anyway,
so yeah, like he's not into it. So they try and integrate him a little bit. So they're like, hey, something we do as Nova Marines is we have like our glories and our victories tattooed on ourselves. And he's like, hey, why don't you tell us some of the stuff you did was part of the Unnumbered Sons, and we can put some of that on you so you can be more a part of our chapter.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, that was my past. It has nothing to do with you guys. I'll not have anything to do with that here. Thank you. It just kind of blows them all off. I'm like, okay, I get it. Harsh. Yeah, but I mean, I enjoyed this because I've always joked that the Primaris Marines to me up until this point have appeared to be like the Exticles from the Exticles from Frisky Dingo, right? Where they'll just go around like boosh, boosh,
yeah,
and, like this mindless drone army, right?
Kick pants. Yeah.
But they have such like Justinian, and this is such a great characterization. It describes the process of how he's taken, right? So it's described that one day, his dad worked on it was from McCragg. He is in a school. Right. And he gets called out of the classroom. They ask him one question, and that's the last thing he remembers. So, assumingly, what's happening is like Magoses are going around and being like, "Hey, Danny, what color is the sky?" You're like, "Blue." and they kind of like slap you on the back of the head with a slapjack and kidnap you for their Primaris initiative.
Meanwhile, what they're asking you the question, they're like scanning you and
yeah. So they're taking these kids and taking them from their families and just kind of like working on them, and Primarising them up. It describes the training of why Primaris are so trained.
Yeah.
It has them kind of being woken up to go through some random simulation to be immediately put back in again.
Right.
They're not told what's happening. Everything's uploaded to them. So like there's centuries in between these times sometimes, but for them, it feels like a constant awakeness. So
Sure.
for 10,000 years, these people have probably been up for 100 years straight just because they keep on being put into stasis, out of stasis, out of stasis, into stasis. And it's a horrible life. It's crazy. But I mean, they got the classic Space Marine indoctrination. So they're good. They're happy. They believe it. I think a great thing he says was...
Well, they're not hypno-indoctrinated, right?
Right.
Which makes them different than normal Marines.
They're not hypno? I thought they were like sleep indoctrinated or something.
Oh, maybe they are.
I think it's a slightly different form because they do seem to be a little bit more questioning of how things are.
I feel like they're more human.
Yeah. So another thing that was great was they just displayed displeasure. They weren't happy with a lot of this stuff. Like Justinian was like, he's in his intercessor squad and he's kind of assigned to look after a devastator squad with heavy bolters. And he's like, man, remember this time like 6 months ago, man, when we were in Scepters and we were being thrown out of spaceships in orbit and then being dropped to the ground and being like right in the enemy's face and just blowing them away.
Right.
And now we're babysitting a heavy bolter squad. So kind of stuff like that I really appreciated because it gave like through Justinian we had this look at what Primaris are as a whole. Like I think the first Dark Imperium book suffered a little bit where there was the goal to please include all of our Primaris units so people are aware of what they do. It's like an 80s toy commercial almost. I mean, there's story there, stuff still happens, but the main goal, as it should have been, which I'm fully expecting when I start reading Soul Wars, by the way, is going to be like a similar thing there. But like it was almost like there should have been like a little TM after every thing, you know.
It was like the new Games Workshop Space Marine catalog.
Yeah. Which is great because when they had 13, 14 new units come out, you had to know how they worked. That had to happen.
Right. There had to be some introduction going on there. And that's fine. But like the scenes with him in his squad, like after he joins the Nova Marines, and because the book starts off, right? Like, yeah. So the characterizations that I really liked. First, there's Justinius, who was great, right? He's a great character.
Sure, yeah.
Really interesting. I also really liked Kugath, the Plague Father.
There was a lot of really great Nurgle demons.
Oh my, they were so good, right?
Yeah, they were just really pissed off. They were taken out of their kitchen a lot of the time.
He's like in like a broken down hospital, stirring like a pot, like adding Nurglings to taste to this, like to his sick chowder, like his nasty chowder, right? And like, and the Nurglings are like coming back out of it and stuff like that, and he's seeing what happens, and then like he gets approached by the Herald, and the Herald is annoying him because the Herald is so morose and boring because he's a plague bearer, and like. Like that was great, and then him sending the plague bearer to Typhus was such a cool scene because he communicates to Typhus through this herald.
Well, there's two great ways that the Nurgle demons communicate with the people.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the fungus. The fungus was awesome too.
Right. So Mortarion comes and talks to him through a mushroom. So the fungus kind of grows out of the ground and kind of forms Mortarion's head, like a hollow screen, but it's just like a plant.
Right. And then on the other side, because the fungus like crawls up into your brain.
Yeah.
And then like transmits itself to the other person as well. So he sees this fungal image of you as well, like a hologram.
Like FaceTime.
Yeah.
Fung time.
Spore time. Yeah. So
that's way better.
It's pretty good. So yeah, but it was but that was a great scene.
So that was, and then the plague bearer, why don't you tell that with the plague bearer talking to Typhus?
Yeah, so like this, so Typhus is about to kill this guy, or like he hurts this guy, and like he suffers this sickness, And he all of a sudden gets like the sickness is like rotting him to the core, but at the same time turning him into the Herald. So the Herald has the conversation with Typhus and then turns to black mush again. Like that's how he communicated with him.
Well, it's like because it came out of his stomach, and the great thing about the scene is Typhus doesn't know what the fuck's going on. He's like, "Oh man, you must be really blessed because you're not dead yet."
Yeah,
I mean, your stomach's ripped open. All this shit is happening. It's all.
You should be dead.
You should be dead at this point. I liked how Typhus was presented in this book as well.
As like a zealot?
Yeah. So like he goes in and like you see him, he attacks his place. He's really badass. But then when he talks to the Herald, the Nurgle demons are very dismissive of him.
Right.
They're like, well, yeah, you're the mortal Herald. Like, you know, like you give like one of the kids, like you can have like a junior deputy badge.
Yeah, right.
Right there. And he's like, no, man. He's like, fuck Mortarion. Like, I need to go to Ajax. And I was like, I don't want to go do that stuff. I'm done with Mortarion. That's it.
Right.
And then the Nurgle, the Plague Bearer is like, yeah, no, you're going.
Right.
Please don't forget who's in charge here. It isn't you. And he's like, fine.
Yeah. Stomps his foot.
And that's why I'm okay taking Typhus and Mortarion in my army.
Sure. Well, and so they send Typhus to the Nova Marines are in charge of one of these 4 star forts. Typhus has already destroyed 3 of them.
How's that working out for them? Well, you're like, the good news is they only have 1 left to defend.
Right. Well, and it's owned by the Nova Marines. It's like their phalanx, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? Or phalanx, whatever. Yeah, phalanx.
Phallus.
Like the Imperial Fists have.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's like this huge star fort, and like most of the interactions from Justinius take place within the star fort, fighting against Typhus and his legions. And they have stuff like they have these huge like siege mantlets that they're pushing forward towards the gates. Like there's Terminators hiding behind them, and Plague Marines operating like all these ancient like siege equipment stuff.
Yeah.
Typhus ends up dueling the chapter master and beats the shit.
What's
out of
crazy?
him.
Typhus kills a squad of Grey Knight Terminators and a Space Marine chapter master.
Hell yeah.
Just beats them down.
Ugh.
It's a really well written bit of bolter porn. Like Typhus like looks at a tank, crushes his fist together, and the tank gets destroyed. And it's a fucking Land Raider.
Yep.
Like he just like a Terminator runs at him. He just kind of looks at him, and then blood starts gushing from the Terminator, and he falls over. It really puts over what a powerful psyker he is.
Well, and he always has been a powerful psyker. Like, well, I mean, he had to like hide his psychic gift or whatever from Mortarion because Mortarion was like, psychers are dumb, and he's like, all right, I guess I'm dumb then. So there was that part that was rad. Oh yeah, so the Death Guard are attacking this planet. What is the name of the planet? It's like this is where the main battle gets fought on. Like this is where the Star Fort is coming to this planet to try and help them out.
Yeah, they are fighting on. It's in Ultramar.
Yeah,
Parmenio.
Yeah, that's right. That sounds like a Star Wars.
My favorite kind of cheese. Parmenio cheese.
And the initial siege, right?
Right.
There's like this channel that the Death Guard are trying to get across, and there's like a fortress on an island in the middle of the channel. So the Death Guard are trying to build a bridge to like get to the rest of the planet, basically. And they're basically like bulldozing with Plague Burst crawlers, like all of this like debris into the water, like to make a bridge to the fortress. And they're like gradually, and it's like dead people and like all kinds of like gross,
very grim, dark bridge.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of skulls.
Korn's pretty happy.
Yeah. Indirectly, Korn is
He's
happy.
like, hey, man, that's a nice bridge. And then goes back to Armageddon.
Right. And then like they're just about to breach this fortress. They do some cool bombardment of like plague canisters, and it's melting people's faces and stuff. And they get saved by a living saint.
Right. She shows up, and all of the dead stuff and disease kind of just goes away.
Yep. And she totally like like a plague drone starts spitting stuff on them, and she turns the filth into normal water.
Yeah.
And then just like cuts it down. Like,
and this is a young girl, like a little,
like a 15-year-old girl,
15-year-old skinny girl from an agri world. No kind of combat whatsoever.
But
She
yes,
gets pretty popular in the city when she kind of turns the shit into water and gets rid of all the plague marines.
right.
What this story really is about, though, and there's a couple more cool action scenes we'll go into, is Gulliman finding his place.
Sure.
Gulliman is kind of like Dana Scully to the Imperium's Fox Mulder, where
He doesn't believe, right?
he doesn't believe, and everyone's like, "Hey, man, you just got to believe." The
Yeah.
Emperor is a god, and he's like, "No, I literally knew him.
He's just a dick.
He's just a dick." But a couple of huge things happen where he kind of wavers, kind of throughout the book.
that he can't really put his finger on, like why that would happen that way.
Right, and so like some of the librarians, some of the other Space Marines explain it. We're like, "Oh no, this person's a saint." I'm like, or is it just a psyker, or
Right.
is it just this, or is it like? And they put out plausible 41st millennium explanations of what it could be that isn't a saint.
Sure.
He chooses Matthias or Matthew. Yes, Matthew. It's spelt strangely, but it is Matthew.
Okay.
As is kind of his church representative in his crusade, in Dominus Crusade, and in his kind of contingent. And he chose him because he was like, all right, it's not going to be completely fanatical.
Well, and he's a person that actually follows the religion and does a good job, like at following the religion. Like he's
Right.
not in it for abusing power. He doesn't like needlessly martyr people or sacrifice people. Like he is about improving the welfare of the Imperium.
Mm-hmm.
But he just views the Imperium a little bit differently than Rebute.
Right. We meet a rogue trader as well. That's part of Gulliman's. A retinue. What was it? She calls him, gives him like a cute little. And it's like, what's going on, Rebute? And he's like, hey, you dare call me by my name? You know all the shit I've done?
I think she calls him Robo.
Yeah. And he's like, does that not scare you? He's like, should it? I'm like, no. I'm like, oh, he's like, okay, Robo. And I'm like, oh man. So he ditched his big titty goth elder girlfriend. Got himself.
Dude,
which,
bad move.
Bad move. But yeah, she's
Gotta
kind
lock
of
that
in
shit
there.
down.
She was sentenced to death for not
Heresy.
believing the Emperor was a god. And Gulliman was like, no, she's right. Come with me. And so she's now in this corp of kind of remembrancers who are kind of taking notes and recording down this history, because kind of I think
Like an unbiased history.
right, an unbiased history, because it almost seems like Gulliman's like, okay, I have to work with ecclesiarchy right now, and we have to.
Because they're too powerful.
They're too powerful. But his ultimate goal, I think, is to kind of get rid of the imperial truth
Sure.
at the start of the book.
Yeah.
Something that his new rogue trader girlfriend brings him. It's a very special present
Oh, yeah.
in an unassuming wooden box. It would be the Book of Lorgar.
Yeah, well, it's the Lectitio Divinatus or Divinicus, the thing that Lorgar wrote that like caused the ecclesiarchy to form.
Yeah.
And he's like super mad, and it just reminded me of Black Legion, was it Black Legion, where they just start laughing uncontrollably. They're like, the word bearers won. I can't believe it. This is such bullshit.
But yeah, he's Gulliman said, like, I've never read it. I don't want to read it. I don't want to know about it. I've not asked about it. So he kind of puts it to the side.
Yeah.
Until the end. Mortarion in this, he's a little mustache twirly.
Yeah, a little bit.
Kind of comes down. His plan is to do something with Gulliman. A really well done bit, and I know we're jumping around here, but a really well done battle was the Titan Legion battles.
Oh, that was great. Yeah.
Where you had kind of all of the loyalist Titans versus kind of the Legio Mortis.
Oh, yeah.
You have all of this like kind of acrid yellow smog on the ground covering everything. You have all these Imperial Knights going underneath and kind of attacking too. It was, if you want kind of a really well written Titan battle that makes sense, I mean, this is really well done. It shows how Knights interact with Titan Legions. Sure. It shows how Titans interact, kind of how they operate too.
Sure. It was almost as good as Titanicus, but like it was pretty close. So the book by Dan Abnett, but like It was like probably my second favorite Titan battle that I've ever read.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's very suspenseful, which you wouldn't imagine when it's like giant Titans.
They can see They can see each other from miles away and stuff.
Yeah, they can see each other's essences. We see the return, and I know Danny used to play Epic, but the return of Plague Towers.
Oh yeah, that was rad.
They say that these things appear from the mists and they're just made of simple wood, and I was like, holy shit, they're bringing back Plague Towers.
Yeah, but they them being demonic and stuff like that, they were a whole lot tougher than
they look like simple wood, but they weren't. They were kind of conduits, because it turns out that Parmenio is a really shitty place for the warp energy. So the demons have a really hard time staying there. So Mortarion is kind of got all these Plague Towers. He has all these soul burners to kind of keep everything and kind of keep all the demons there and strong. Right. The ultimate goal of this is to kind of draw Guilliman out. A little bit of sibling rivalry still going on.
And make him feel despair before he dies.
Yeah, which, Jesus Christ, just shoot the guy. He's felt despair and stasis for 10,000 years. You know what I mean? There's no need to kind of... Yeah, that final bit of despair, rather than waking up and seeing that his entire life's work was a joke and his brothers won. But they're going along in Leviathan, which is a one would assume Primaris-sized Space Marine transport.
Oh no, I know what the Leviathan is.
It's a Leviathan.
I mean, it's from Epic.
Oh, the giant.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
that's super cool.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
And they're saying it's like jumping around, and like the demonic forces are causing, they can't get like a fix on the location of it or anything.
Right.
And so Guilliman's like, fuck this. Opens the door.
Right. I'll go out. I'll see what's up.
And he's
got his flashlight.
He's got his flashlight.
Looking around.
He's flanked by 10 Sisters of Silence, Custodes. He's Victrix Guard, just everything. But then he steps out, and it's like a really bad episode of The Outer Limits, where they're all kind of separated and in their own little realmy things.
Right, fighting.
And he gets surrounded by like 7 great unclean ones.
Yeah. He should not be able to. Anyway. Okay. I mean, he messes him up pretty good too.
Plot armor.
Yeah. Right.
Plot armor.
That's exactly what it is.
So we're going to leave Guilliman circled by 7 greater demons. And let's talk more about this saint here.
Yeah. So after seeing her powers at the town, they totally lock her up. Because some people are like,
she's a witch burner.
Yeah, she's a witch. No, the Sisters of the Battle don't think so.
No.
Which is weird, right? Because normally you'd think like, man, if the Sisters of the Witch Hunters don't think that this chick is a witch, then why are we locking her up for this? I don't know. So they end up locking her up, and then springing her loose by killing. Do they kill a Space Marine? Or do they kill a bunch of loyal Imperial Guard? They're like, we don't want to kill you, but we have to.
They also really fuck up a Sister of Silence.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that, which was interesting.
So here's the thing: Guilliman's orders is the witches to stay locked up far away from the battle until they can decide what to do with her. Because again, Guilliman, sensible. It could be an agent of Tzeentch. It could be kind of a demonic thing. It could be like a warp bomb. Who knows? Keep it far away. But the sisters of battles have been like, well, we believe the Emperor told us to take her to you. And so they're kind of completely ignoring Guilliman's authority and orders because their orders come from a higher power.
True.
Which is, oof. So they kill a whole bunch of people, whole bunch of Imperial Guard. In the end, only the head sister and the demonically possessed Saint Girl escape on an Arvis glider, which I was glad to see.
Oh, is that what they did?
Yeah.
I thought they were in a Rhino.
Well, they escaped from an Arvis glider to a Rhino.
Okay,
but initially and I'm like, oh, I really like that ship. It's crappy and it has no guns, but it's a really good model.
Hey man, it has a multi-laser.
And they kind of get in that Rhino, and this whole time this Saint is like, he needs me. Bring me to him. He needs me. Bring me to him. And they're trying to find this Leviathan, and it's jumping all over the map.
Sure.
And she's like, no, he's over there. Head that way.
And yeah, she's able to sense him.
Yeah. we see some really good interaction. Smash cut back to Guilliman versus a billion Greater Unclean Ones. Some great interaction between the Great Unclean Ones and Guilliman.
Yep.
Where they're like, hey man, just you have a shitty god.
We have an awesome god.
We have an awesome god.
He's friendly.
Come to us.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do. And he's like, no. And he takes out his sword. And then this is when we realize that the demons recognize the Emperor's sword. And they were like, oh.
I didn't know that he had that.
I don't know that he had that. And we find out that if a demon is killed with the Emperor's sword, then they die forever.
They're dead.
They're dead.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of panic there, and we have this great battle between. I call it the Shamu 2 battle because there's hundreds of demons around them, but they only attack one at a time.
Sure, right, of course.
Whereas if they just all attack at once,
well, it's classic fight scene there, right, man? Yeah,
classic fight scene. A great part is one of the greater demons is getting really fucked up, and he sees Guilliman charging at him with his sword, so he cuts his own head off, so he dies.
Right? Yeah.
So he won't be unkilled. We find out in this scene that if you kill a demon with enough blanks around, that they die forever because their soul can't return to the warp.
That's tough.
The Custodies come back. The Sisters come back. So we now have this like elite blob of Imperial troops versus the elite blob of Nurgle demons. And Guilliman gets bondaged.
Yeah, like
very easily, I would say.
But it was cool because he's set this plan in motion. Like his whole plan was to do this one thing to him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then
there was two different plans, if you notice, because Mortarion wants to humiliate Guilliman and kill him. Right.
Sure.
But the the greater demons, they have a different plan.
Well, they want to convert him.
Right.
Right.
So they wanted a drop of his blood.
Yeah.
And they were like, give me a drop of his blood. And we can't do anything until we have his blood. And then they make the scene where one of them gets a cut on him and they say a little tiny speck of blood drops on the ground. Like, okay, get him now. And they turn on this plague field, which just bondages his arms and legs up and he can't move. They point out that his sword arm is weaker or is stronger than all of his other limbs because the Emperor's sword does some weird stuff to warp tame. But he's kind of held up. And this is when Mortarion comes down.
He flies down, right?
He flies down, and they talk about a sudden waft of air coming down from above, and he comes and he twirls his little mustache and he kind of goes over his little plans, and Guilliman's all, fight me, coward, and he's like, I'm no coward.
And I don't have to.
Yeah. You're right there. He's very nice, and he's like, I will make your death painful. It's like, regardless of how it looks, my scythe is very sharp. We have this kind of great. I enjoyed the conversation between Mortarion and Guilliman.
I mean, they are still brothers, even
they're
if
still
they're
brothers.
Tainted, right? Yeah.
They're still tainted. The thing I liked about it was they're talking very similar things. Like Mortarion saying, "It was like you see him as a god, I see him as a person who did this to me and did this and then did this," and he's listing off his genuine concerns. And Guilliman's like, "Well, yeah, but you're still a fuckhead."
Yeah, right.
I mean, pretty much. Come to the part where the Sisters battle Rhino has kind of found the Leviathan by almost driving under its tracks. But they stop, they get out. There's some people accompanying them there, and they come across a beast of Nurgle in what is a crazy good fight scene in this book. Because it's described as being one could assume a Labrador puppy chasing after balls.
Yep.
It says how it made an exciting little squealing noise and then runs up to one of the sisters and licks her face so hard that she gets thrown up in the air. And as she's coming down, her face is dissolving from the tongue acid. And then when she falls down dead, the beast kind of pokes her a couple of times and lets out a disappointed nose that she's dead already. And then finds a different one.
Right. And which is great.
And then kind of just patters off to there. It dies in the best possible way with in the sister battle, she fires her bolt gun and the bolt goes into the Beast of Nurgle's head. And he looks at her really disappointed. He's like, But then the bolt explodes and covers them everywhere. And
Aw.
and the beast kind of dissolves
bad
into the
for the little
ground.
guy.
I know, right? And I was like, man, I want to just run 1 billion of those because
They're awesome.
They're so awesome. But yeah, so it dissolves into the ground, and that's when the Sister Battle's like, see, their faith isn't as good as ours. Look how quickly they dissolve. And I'm like,
Dang.
that's a pretty light like kind of display of faith. Never let me just say that. So she goes. They go in. They see Gilliman. The saint uses her saint powers to free Gilliman.
Right. And he looks at her and is like, Dad? Right? I mean, I mean, that's pretty much what he says.
Yeah. And she's like, you look like him.
Yeah.
And then turns out, I think the common thought is it was the Emperor possessing this person to help Gilliman. But it turns out that a 15-year-old farm girl can't possess the psychic power of the Emperor
For very long.
For very long. So she dies very, very sorely. Mortarion just kind of fucks off.
He's like, all right, well, if this didn't work, I'll
like,
try again.
all right, I got another battle over here I got to go to, but this has been fun. Okay, I'm out. And
see you in book 3, buddy.
See you in book 3, and he pieces out. And then the greater demons hurriedly kill themselves so that they can return to the warp, which is like the greatest thing. Just like I just imagine this great unclean one just like sawing his head off to like get dead,
to not actually die, right?
Yeah. And yeah, that's the big thing. The major thing that happens in the end is Gulliman's conversation with Matthew, where he goes off and he's like, why was that girl freed? I know it was your order. I know it was your doing. And Matthew is kind of trying to very subtly influence things behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Gulliman has no fucking time
No.
for the church whatsoever. Gulliman has no time for having his orders taken away from him. But at this point, we're at a point, and this makes me super excited for the Sisters of Battle Codex. Like, super hyped for it, where the Sisters of Battle, they listen to Gulliman. They'll take his order, but if they believe the Emperor wants them to do something else,
Then they'll do it.
they'll fuck off and do it.
Yeah.
They'll slaughter Imperial troops to do it.
Heck yeah.
They slaughtered a daughter of the Emperor to do it.
Right.
You know, and it's crazy that's where we're in. And like I said, that can only get better.
I'm super excited about the
I'm
Codex.
super excited by that. The conversation between Matthew and Gulliman was like, this is in private. It's just me and I, Cato Sicarius, and you. And they made sure like nothing was recording.
Yep.
And he's just like, yeah, what the fuck? Oh, no, I'm sorry. There was also a Custodia there as well.
Sure.
But yeah, here we go. Gulliman's first line to him is, you live by my indulgence alone.
Dang.
Yeah. And he kind of just really lays into him. It feels like he's treating Matthew like he is the entire ecclesiarchy and kind of letting out his frustrations for the time out on that. Some super interesting parts in here. There's a direct quote from the book here. Matthew quailed, and yet he felt the beginnings of religious ecstasy creep into his gut. He thought of being destroyed by Gulliman, of falling to the Emperor's only living son almost undid him. So the fucking priest was getting a chub over the thought of being murdered by the Emperor's son.
It's called a murder. That's called a murder boner, John.
So are we seeing something where Matthew kind of gets turned or converts? Because if we smash cut back to the start of the book,
like to the worship of Gulliman,
to the worship of via the worship of Gulliman, it turns to chaos. Because at the start of the book, Matthew was found on a world that had been taken over by the Alpha Legion.
Oh, interesting.
So is he truly Alfarian? No, he's not. That's a terrible overplayed joke. But is he there who he says he is?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, he's feeling pleasure. He has these plans. He's doing this kind of other stuff here. Gulliman's told him if he finds out he's doing anything like that again, he will burn him to death. He says, I tolerate the Adeptus Ministorum as a necessary evil. Do not force me to reevaluate my position. Yeah, he was like, he's described as having the rage of Angron in that part of it. So he is not messing around. And the nice thing about it as well, Gulliman's like, we're done here. And the custodian is like, Yeah, he said all that to you, but I will straight up kill you as well if what he says is correct. So imagine being kind of the mortal regent of the Ministorum to Gulliman, and you've had two 10,000-year-old super soldiers tell you that they will murder you. Straight up. If anything bad happens that is remotely to do with the church.
I see that ending very poorly for him, just in general.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to trip and fall sometime.
Or somebody else is going to do something like the Battle Sisters will fuck up, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
Do their own thing, and then they'll be like, okay, well, this is on you, dude. You should have been watching them.
And just take it away. So, at the end of this book, we're kind of left with Gulliman and kind of his private thoughts, right? He, again, is Dana Scully, seasons 1 through 5 of the X-Files. Season 7, Dana Scully starts to come out kind of towards the end of the book. He's kind of trying to put everything in place about what happened. The quote unquote miracles he saw. Like, it's pointed out that this saint that helped him in the battle knew where he's supposed to be while in psychic restraints with a sister of silence in the room. Like, with all of these things that should have stopped any kind of precognition or psychic power, yet it still happened. It still went out. So he decides the best course to do is to read the Leviticus Divinicus, or what's it, Leviticus Divinicus?
The Lectitio Divinicus or Divininatus? I'm not sure.
Divinatus. Lots of vowels.
Some shitty Latin-esque, yeah.
But he starts to read that book, which gets me very excited for book 3.
Yeah.
Because where does that leave? Do we have a Gulliman who's going to be more comfortable with the faith, or even extolling the Emperor as a god?
Right.
Because the things he's seeing, he can't explain.
He can't explain, right.
And he's a very practical person. I mean, they go into great detail throughout this book about what a practical person Gulliman is, and how great his battle plans are, and how great his stuff is, and how intelligent he is. But again, he can't explain this stuff. Like,
right.
Why is this 15-year-old girl
able to bypass all the things that would normally stop a psyker, so to speak? Right. Yeah.
So we start to see him reach to other places for explanations. And where does this go now? Obviously, all of our protagonists are still alive. There is literal plot armor in 40K now, where there's certain demons who cannot be banished forever or cannot be killed forever because they're needed for the end. So
I think Kugoth is going to die.
You think Kugoth's going to die?
Well, he doesn't have a model.
Yeah.
They just have Rodigus.
Yeah, Rodigus is there. Kugoth, I mean, honestly, I'm more likely to buy a Great Unclean One now because Kugoth is just such a fucking man.
Cool, yeah.
Has some other cool things he does when before he goes and meets with Mortarion. Mortarion comes and is like, hey, I need you to come here. He's like, okay, sure. And he's like, don't be a dick. I could have literally just summoned you right now and you could have been in front of me. And he's like, Kugoth is like, well, that would have ruined the diseases I'm making. So yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, he does have a shitty attitude. And then as soon as he gets done with him, he's like, that fucking asshole.
Yeah, to Nurglings and Plague Bearers. He's like, what a fucking dick. Thinks he's so great. But we hear about Ajax. As everyone's kind of heading to Ajax. There's plagues happening in Ajax. Typhus is going to be heading to Ajax. Mortarion, I don't know what he's doing. I said that's the only disappointing part to me. Lords of Silence, I thought Mortarion was really well characterized.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I think just for what this book had to achieve in its page count,
sure,
there wasn't much room for Mortarion.
I agree.
I think you needed to set up the demons more. You needed to set up the threat more, kind of the grand Nurgle plan.
Well, and it was cool to see character in the demons finally.
Yeah, right? For sure. Because we've been told for years that Great Unclean Ones are pretty much just Nurgle.
Right.
But smaller versions. So they should have personalities. They should have this stuff. Why should I? It's the same issue that happens, the end of the Avengers movies when they're fighting off against a horde of 30,000 CGI monsters. So I stopped caring because,
Right. Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah, they're killing a bunch of nobodies. Great. But this book especially takes great pains on that. It goes over how the Plague Bearers are just counting incessantly. And then as they get scared, their counting gets like sporadic and things, but they're always doing things. Korgarth has this great characterization. There's my favorite plague bearer, Famine. He has a great unclean one called Famine, who's described as being extremely fat.
Which, like, what does that even mean?
Which I just want him to, like, I want to model that one, like use the Forge World Giant one and just have him holding a banner that just says it's ironic. But a lot of characterization went into the demons, and most characterization went into Gulliman and the Imperium itself, generally as a character, because there was kind of some concern when Primarch started coming back, right? That Gulliman's like, well, Gulliman's charge. He was there. He literally wrote the fucking book. He's going to be like, well, no, this happens. You're wrong.
Right.
And now he has proof almost that, wait, maybe I'm wrong.
For once.
The next thing as well is when he was looking at the Levitico, the book of Lorgar,
sure,
for better words. He was saying, he looked at it and he was like, both he and the book were two people out of time.
Yeah, that's true.
So he does not like this future. He does not like being in this future. He's described as trying to create a stronghold in Ultramar, and kind of create the 700 worlds of Ultramar and kind of rebuild the Imperium from there. So I think we're moving to a place where Gulliman is trying to do what he said he was going to do, or was doing in the Heresy of, okay, I want to just restart it here and we'll move it out and we'll do it right. So I think soon we're going to see kind of a big schism in the Imperium.
Maybe another crusade.
Crusade.
I see the schism happening, and then somebody rising up to be against Gulliman. Like if it's another Primarch, or like especially if they take over the Imperium Nihilus.
Yeah. So if we look at Imperium Nihilus right now, because I think you're right, this is what leads to another Primarch coming back. Either Gulliman's going to convert to the Imperial truth, and then another Primarch will come back and be like, what the fuck, Bob?
Dude, you went native.
No, this is wrong. So either that's going to happen, or Gulliman's going to say staunch and all that other kind of stuff.
Sure.
And we're going to have another Primarch show up who might have a different view. But I mean, who
might be more spiritualistic?
Who's more spiritualistic? I mean, the obvious choice for me was
I would say Russ, or the Khan. Those two, or maybe Vulcan. Those three seem to be probably the most spiritual of the Primarchs.
The issue being, though, is if you remember back to Beast Arises with Vulcan, he was like, yeah, this is pretty much completely the opposite of what he wanted. I'm done with Imperium. And
sure.
He walked away. Russ, I could see as a good one. It has to be someone kind of opposite to Dorn.
But
to
Gulliman. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was saying Dorn coming back, but then that's just Gulliman 2.0.
But like the Lion knows the power of chaos, right? So I don't know, like, because you always hear rumors about him, and he's confirmed for sure to be alive.
So confirmed alive, we have the Lion, Sanguinius, is in stasis and Bao. And if Gulliman came back from stasis on Ultramar.
Oh, God. I really hope it's not Sanguinus. I would be fucking pissed about that. He's like the most dead of all the Primarchs. Like even deader than Dorn.
No, true. Horus would be the deadest of all.
No. I mean like of the loyalist Primarchs.
Okay. Yeah, Dorn just left someone else's hand and then went fucked off.
Yeah. He's like, hey, you look big. Chop off your hand. Here, let me go spray with a flamer.
I'm going to go buy some cigarettes. Tell my kids I'll be back in
I'm going to go get some cigarettes and milk. I'll be back, kids.
But yeah, it's definitely going to be someone like that. The only show that like Space Wolf Codex is fairly new. But even then, the way they're releasing stuff now.
Who knows, man?
Who knows? It's wide open. But I definitely see kind of the end of this book leading to something. Or it's going to tie in with the release of something. Because they're making a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
Nurgle. Great opposition for Ultramarines. One, clean, pure. The other Ultramarines. And again, I'm excited to see where this goes. I was like not impressed so much by the first one. I understand what it was trying to do. This one,
so the only god that hasn't attacked him directly so far is Slaanesh. Because on his trip back to Terra, he got attacked by Magnus.
Right.
He got attacked by Scarbrand.
Right.
he got attacked by Mortarion, and all that's left is Slaanesh, and that would have room for Fulgrim.
And you have now the priest popping boners about the thought about getting beaten by Gulliman.
Sure.
Which seems and
he's got so much pride that he's like willing to.
He has a lot of pride. He flagellates.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe this leads back to Slaanesh, back to 40K. We have some beautiful new miniatures for them. So
yeah, they are amazing.
So who knows? But yeah, that was Plague War. Like I said, I didn't want to kind of go beat by beat over it.
And I think we did a good job of not doing that.
Yeah, it's definitely a good book. I would definitely recommend reading it. You don't have to have read Dark Imperium first.
I agree. And it's good for catching up on what's going on in 40K today.
Yeah, if you are interested in how 40K works now, this is a great
40K current events, if you will.
40K current events, yeah. It's not 40K historical, but it's kind of a great setup for this is how the Imperium works. And this is why stuff is like this.
Right, and the next chapter, and like who knows what campaign book is going to be next, right?
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out. But yeah, we're going to take a break, and we will be right back.
Earl Hagen was a legend. In 1960, he whistled his way into Hollywood and into our hearts. Decades later, he made a comeback, lending those lustrous lips in the 1980s to such bands as the Scorpions, Guns N' Roses, and Pat Benatar. A half-century after his humble beginnings, he's at it again. This time without cumbersome musical accompaniment, he'll have you wetting your whistle and whistling along. His new album, Earl Whistles Disney, is sure to be a hit with all generations. Order now and receive a bonus album, Earl Whistles More Shit, a collection of previously unreleased material of Earl's favorite songs through the years. On this bonus album, he demonstrates his newly mastered technique of inward whistling. Order yours today on compact disc or double-length cassette. Also available at fine retailers such as Walgreens, CVS, and participating Sam Goody stores. Earl Whistles Disney. Buy it today.
Oh, we're back. When I unmute us, we are back.
I'm so back.
Hey, so Danny, we got a voicemail.
Oh, yeah. It was really interesting.
Super interesting.
I learned a lot from it.
I want to get our listeners' take on this and see kind of what they think. Anytime now.
您好，这里是中国领事馆文件通知，您有一封重要文件尚未领取，如有任何疑问，请按0，由华语部门人工为您查询。
Really?
So, Danny, what's your opinion about contrast paint?
Oh, really? I thought they were telling me that they were holding my Forge World order for non-payment.
Yeah, that showed up today, ironically, from a 415 area code. So,
Regardless, I'm going to have to pay a 25% tariff on that shit.
God damn. All those poor Sylvaneth players. I don't know what they're going to do. Politics is fun.
Yeah, isn't it?
Sorry,
John.
You're all good. We're all good. It's all fun and games. Hey, so that is that's about all I think that we have.
Yeah, and if you can translate that wonderful voicemail,
like I know the start is ni hao, which is hello, because I used to have younger kids who would watch Ni Hao Kai Lan.
Oh,
which was Dora for Chinese.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, true stories. Yeah, that's about all I have. Danny, you have anything you want to add?
Not really.
Okay, well, I would say check us out on YouTube at the search for Mob Rules podcast. Otherwise, you get a really amazing rock band. If you want to help support us, we do have a Patreon page at Mob Rules John on Twitter.
Yeah, or at Villicade5
for Danny on Twitter.
And then what's Dave at? I think it's hashtag Dave Sucks. So
yeah,
just include that.
Yeah, hashtag Dave Sucks, and we'll make sure that he gets that message. But for Mob Rules, I've been John.
I've been Danny.
And we'll see you next time.